Welcome to the class 12 of the Python course. In the last class, we studied Lambda functions. I showed you how to create a Lambda function, and then I gave you all of these examples. In today's class, we will be studying file handling. So let's see how we can read a file. To begin, we need a file with a few lines of text in it. Let's start with a file that contains 30 decimal places with 10 decimal places per line. So we are going to need to create this sort of file. I have already created it, which you can see on my Explorer window. You can easily do it by typing new file and py2.txt. So here is our py2.txt, and you can enter whatever number you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have created the py file, which is right here, and I have included the example which is given in the book. So I'm just going to use this. Now, in order to open the file, this is the syntax. So first of all, you're going to write with, and then you are going to type the built-in function open, and then inside the parentheses, you are going to type the name of the file. So the name of the file that I created is py.txt, and then you are going to type as and name any file you want. So I'm just simply going to type file underscore py, and this is the first line that you should know. With open parenthesis and as whatever you want to name it, because when this function imports the file, it names it as this. So now we are going to tell Python what to do with this file after accessing the file. We are going to create a variable that can be contents is equal to, we want the Python to read this file. We can easily do it by typing the name which we have given to the file, then using the method called the read, and then these brackets. Now we are going to print what we have made Python to read and simply run the program. And here are the contents of the file, which is the value of py. Now when we have imported this file, you see there is a space here, and this is what the next concept is about. The next concept is, recall that Python's rstep method removes or strips any white spaces characters from the right side of a string. Now the output matches the contents of the original file. So in order to do that, all we have to do is simply type inside this print function .rstrip, and there you go. It will remove the spaces that have occurred while we are importing the file. Now if I run the program, so after I run the code, this line gets removed, but the space which you see right now is because of the terminal window. So this is how you can use rstrip to remove the extra space, and this is now equivalent to the original file that we have saved. Now you have learned how to open the file and read its content. Now let's move on to the next concept, that is the file path. So let me just mention here file path 2, file paths program 2. Now here it says that on Windows you use a / instead of a / as in iOS to open the path of a file. So if we have with open again, and we need to open a file, so I have other files such as Little Woman, Alice. So I will take it by right clicking in the VS Code. You can copy the copy path and copy the relative path. So I'll simply click on the copy path and paste it here. And here you can see it's a huge line. And then we type as object. That was for the relative path. The fix for this is that you can simply name it path underscore 1. Create a variable and simply paste the path inside, just like this. And then simply take this path from here and paste, and now you're good to go. And inside you can type the body, and here is the concept that I have talked about to the open, which is the absolute paths are usually longer than the relative paths, so it's helpful to store them in a variable and then pass that variable. But if you want to get the shortened version of this, you can do this by clicking on the file you want to open and then copy the relative path. And before that, you need to type the slash and the file where you have stored this. So it's stored in my computer in Python and files, and then you are going to type again content is equal to object.read, and for the relative path just copy this and paste it here, and then change it to something like object underscore 1, and same here object underscore 1. Now if I click here, this is how you can access the files or make use of the paths of the file. So we have this copy path, it is the longer one. You store it in a variable and then call it just like this, and the other way is you just copy the relative path and then read it. Windows systems will sometimes interpret forward slashes in file paths correctly. So if you are accessing file here, if the forward slash is not working, try using the backward slash and this will work. Let's move on to the next concept, that is reading line by line, reading line by line. So for this, we will be using the for loop. So first of all, let's access our file, and we are creating a variable with the file name equal to py.txt, and then accessing it with open file name as file underscore py semicolons, and now we will write the for loop for line in file py, and then we print the line. You can name this variable whatever you want. I have named it as the book because we're accessing reading line by line. So now if I run the program, here you can see that we are reading this program line by line. Now you can fix these spaces again by simply writing the R strip. So if I type R strip parentheses and run it, you see the space is gone here that I have taught you earlier. So in this way, you can access the files line by line. Now let's move on to the next concept. That says making a list of lines from a file. Making a list of lines from a file. The following example store the line of 5 digits in a list inside the with block and then print the line outside the with block. So in order to do that, we will use the previous code and then we will remove the hash. Alright, so we have the access of the file, and now what we're going to do is we'll type lines is equal to file dot read lines. Alright, so we're reading by lines. Now we will come out of this with block, and now we will write for line in line and then simply print it with the line dot strip. Now if I run this, you can see it has created a list of lines from file by using the R strip and the for loop that is outside of this reading block. Now let's move on to the next concept, that is about working with the file's content. Working with file's content. Program 4. Alright, so I'm taking the code which I have wrote earlier, and then I'm going to create a py string. Py underscore string is equal to, this is an empty string, and then I'll use a for loop. I have used it because of, let me show you after creating this. Py underscore string plus equal to line dot strip, and here it should be R strip. Now if you print this, print py, then print length py underscore string. Now if you run the program, you will see that the variable py string contains the white space that was on the left side of the digits in each line. But we can get rid of this by using the strip instead. So if I remove the R from here and then run my program, here you can see we have all the contents in a line. When Python reads from a file, it interprets all text in the file as a string. If you read in a number and want to work with that value in a numerical context, you will have to convert it into an integer using the int function, or convert it to a float using the float function. Alright, so we have converted this into a string because it allows us to efficiently process the data. And there are other benefits of converting or working with the file's content and making them into strings. And you will learn the things about the string we can apply here as well. Let's move on to the next concept, that is large files 1 million digits. So we can also access the large files. Let me just write here program 5 large files. Alright, large file program 5. In this, we are reading this file that has like 1 million digits, and we are accessing only a few elements of it, like 52. So the way we have access our small files, in the same way we can access the large files or a large amount of data to do data analysis or processing. I have downloaded this data from the website, which you can see on the book, that says that the resources is taken from this website, but I was not able to find it there. I downloaded it from the Copilot, but just simply typing on the Google that 5 million digits.txt dataset or txt, it's popped up there. So now I have it in my Explorer window. You can see 5 million digits. Now if I go and type here file name equal to py underscore million underscore digit dot txt. So this is the relative path I have written here, and now I'm going to use the with open parenthesis file name as million underscore digits, and then I'm going to type lines equal to million digits dot read lines parenthesis. Alright, I had a issue, so I am back again. So we were at this, we created a string, We used for loop to access lines of this data set. Now what we're going to do is we will use the pi string and apply the strip to the all lines. This plus sign shows that it is going to increment in the value. I mean, first line, second line, in this way, the whole lines of the data set. And this should be outside the loop, should be inside. All right, so the lines which I have moved were inside the with open block, but I have moved it outside so that we are not restricted here. Now I'm moving out of the for loop, and now I'll print the string pi underscore string 52 plus print length pi underscore string. What this will do, this will give us the first 52 characters of the string that we have created for our dataset that included only the integers, and then we are printing the length. Length means that it will count the all the characters of the strings or characters of this dataset and print on the screen. Now if I run the program, here you can see it has shown us the 52 characters only. It has shown us only the 52 characters of the string only. And we indeed have a string that contains 1 million decimal points. We do have a string that contains the pi to 1 million decimal points. So in this way, we can make use of a very large data set and access some small portion. Now there is an example that we can apply here, that is your birthday is contained in the pi, means that your birthday is present in the first half of this data set or not. So let me rewrite the next program, that is going to program 6 your birthday in 1 million characters. So for this we will be using this code that I'm going to paste here. And now we are not accessing the 52 characters, but the rest of the code is same. We have the access of the data set. We have converted it into a string. We are removing the spaces, but we are not printing anything. What we are going to print is, first of all, we will take the input of the birthday of the person, such as me, by using the input function. Enter your birthday, such as month, days, and then year. Yes, obviously year. And now after this, we will set up a condition that if birthday in underscore pi string, if it exists, then give us print your birthday appears in first million digits of pi. And if it does not exist there, then what this is going to do is going to give us else and type print your birthday does not occur. Okay, so we have access of the file, we have converted it into a string. We are taking the input of a user. We have set up a condition that if the birthday exists, then print that your birthday exists in the first 1 million digits, else give us that your birthday does not occur or exist in that. So if I run my program and I enter my birthday or any random birthday, so I take 25 and 1999. I will press enter. It says your birthday does not occur. So just try it yourself. If your birthday occurs, let's give it a random shot and see if any other birthday occurs. So let me type 12th month, 25th, 1999. And it says again. And now let's try any other, the last time. So 5, or let's say April 24th, 2001. Again, it says birthday does not. So I've tried 2 to 3 times. Try yours if maybe your birthday and it says print your birthday does exist in the first movie. Let me check the book what they have said here. 12/03/72. And it says yes, we have succeeded. Your birthday appears in first million digits of pi. Alright, so the next concept is writing to a file. In this, we have a file name, programming. I haven't downloaded the programming file. Okay, so we have to create it, right? I'm just naming it programming.txt, and then we'll use the same function with open parenthesis file name underscore object as file, and the second line we'll use file object dot write, and it says love programming, or I love Python or machine learning, or whatever your interest has developed. So now if I run the program, it has created this file. You see, I love Python. So this is the this is the syntax to create a file. I created a variable which has the name of the file I want to name my new file. Then I'll use the same syntax functions which I use to read a file, and instead of giving it only one argument, I'm typing here w, which means to write, and naming it as file object. And then I use that the second name which I have given, which is the file object, and write I love Python. So it created the python.txt file, and inside it placed I love Python. Now let's move on to the next concept, that is writing multiple lines. So writing multiple lines, that is program 8. In this, the code is going to be the same for the first half, right? We have file name, the same file object, and I have typed I love Python, and in the next line I'm just going to write I love sports and gym, and here is remember to keep the indentation, and I can add more lines into this. But let's run this. Now if I open my file, here you can see I love Python, I love sports and gym. So in this way you can add more lines into this. Now let's move on to the next concept. Next concept is appending a file. So what this does, this will only just create either the new line or replace the old one. I mean, if I remove this /n here, then all the lines, the new ones, will remove this one, and the new one will be placed here. But what the append does, append extends the original data. So we have, alright, appending to a file. How we can do this? Let's modify write message by adding some new reasons we love programming to the existing programming file. So we have already created this. I'm going to use the same code, and instead of w we will use the a for append, and in that I will add I also found birthday in a large data set. And again, in the next slide, I can add something similar. I learned to create a file and append it. And now if I run this and open my file, here you can see it has appended it has extended. We have the older two lines, and now we have the new ones. I also found birthday in a large data set, and I learned to create a file. The data set is missing here because I did not put E. Now if I run this, here you can see it says dataset, and it has again added those two lines and did not fix the previous one. This is something new which I have also learned, that it does not change the previous, but instead it appends. Now if I run it again and again and again, it should contain all of these there. And here you can see all of that is present here. So in this way you can write multiple lines. And so in today's class we learned lots of things, and yeah, that's it from me in today's class. You can learn from me the Python course in one-on-one coaching. Just message me on social media, and make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next class.